guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm here with my friends Samuel, Charlie, Stephen and Inshira, and today we're doing Storytime episode 5, and then yeah, so hope you enjoy, and Stephen, do your story.
Okay, so all of us were going on a trip to the woods. Okay.
Okay. So all of us, me, Charlie, Tom, Stephen, and Samuel were all going to the woods for a trip for some reason. Yeah, we just were. Okay, continue with your story and proceed.
Okay, so we were going to the woods for a camping trip. We set up camp, each of us. Took our turns.
Okay, so we were going for a camping trip, and we set tents up, and proceed with your story.
Okay, so we were set tents up. When it became night, each of us took turns of staying awake and guarding the tent. So all of the bears, foxes, and
each of us
moose
took
stuff
what turns to do what?
to protect the tent from
Okay, so what he said
animals.
was I'm sorry if it's so dark on your screen, but so basically what he said was that all of us took a turn to protect all the tents to see if bears or wolves or any wild animal that would be in the forest would come to attack us. So yeah, we all had a turn.
I'm gonna be AFK for a bit.
Okay.
Ignore my wiggling of my arms. I'm sorry. Continue with your story, Stephen.
Okay, so it was a friend that Tom took along with him on the trip because we said it was okay if he could come.
Okay,
time to
so
guard.
apparently Tom rang a friend. Hi, I'm Tom's friend, and it's okay if I come over. And then all of us were like, yeah, sure, dude, whatever. You don't care. Yeah, just come over. You can probably die, but whatever. Yeah. So so proceed.
Okay, so while he was guarding, he saw some shining in the distance, something yellow glowing.
So while Tom's friend was guarding, he was like, "Yee, I'm guarding." Boom, 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 boom. He saw some shining in the distance. He's like, "What the hell is that? I need to see that." And so yeah, he went across there. Yeah, that's how he called across. I'm sorry. Go.
Okay, so what happened was when he was going to check it out, so he walked over and he realised it was two floating yellow dots in the air. And then
apparently what he saw whenever he was like, wait, what the? And he saw two yellow floating dots and he was like, what is that? And he didn't know what to do. So what did he do? Well, we're gonna find that out next time. Bye, guys. I'm just joking. Okay, carry on.
Alright, so he walked over and he thought it was fireflies just going around.
So it was fireflies. Okay.
Just flying around. Okay, and then he walked. So what he done was he.
Okay, so he walked over, and what he done was
he looked in between the trees, trying to see what was actually there.
He was trying to see what was there, and he was like squinting until what?
Yeah. Until he noticed that the thing that was glowing was actually a pair of eyes.
And so yeah, so he was squinting, looking, and then he saw that pair of eyes. So basically he was like, Oh, the barrel! I better run. And so yeah, carry on.
He saw the thing. He said, "Hello, you lost."
Okay, so he built up the courage to go back and he's like, hello, I can see your face.
Doing a video.
And then carry on.
Okay. So what he done was he asked him, "Are you lost?" And the voice
So
and
the
the
guy
guy
asked him like, are you lost, my guy? Are you lost? And then the voice was like, and like, what the? Proceed.
So the voice was just breathing very heavily.
Okay.
And then what it done was, so he walked over to it to actually see who it was. And when he walked over, he realised that it. And before he could actually see it, the monster tore him to shreds. With its giant
Okay, so
claws.
he's gonna die. So basically, so yeah, he was like, okay, and then he was like, the monster was like that, and so it was like, he went in to see, and then the monster was like, and tore him into shreds, and the guy was like dead, and his head was like ripped apart from his body, which was in shreds. So yeah, he died. Yeah, he died. So
The next morning,
I'm eating food and now I can't eat anymore.
the next morning,
the people from the campsite, like us all, went out
the
and
next morning, us five were like, he hasn't returned. Well, hey, so we were confused. So we went out. Yeah, go.
So when we went out, we saw his last remains of
Okay,
blood.
so yeah, we went out deep into the forest and we saw his remains, and we were like, oh my gosh. Proceed.
Okay, so what happened was the next night we decided to pick someone who was sensible to guard and wouldn't walk away.
So
from
last
the
night
things
we
taken
were
away.
very freaked out. So yeah, we were very freaked out what happened last night. But we just got over it. I mean, Tom wasn't, though he was still crying in the corner. But yes, we got
No.
over it, and so we chose someone sensible, like who? Samuel? Maybe Tom? Maybe Stephen? Maybe Charlie? Maybe me?
Right, so the
We
person
don't
the
know.
person we picked to do it was Samuel.
So the person that we picked to do it was poor Samuel. He's not poor. I mean, I'm just saying. But yes, so we chose Samuel to go out. And yeah,
We didn't
and
give
also
them any-
sorry if you see a dark silhouette. That's just me. It's just the lighting is very bad. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so Samuel walked out into. So Samuel was guarding the campsite, and then all of a sudden, the wind started to pick up a bit.
Okay, so
So-
Samuel's like guarding the area. He's like, and then the wind started to pick up, like, just like, and yeah. And we all noticed. We woke up from it and was like, what the? And so yeah. Continue.
So Samuel realized that the wind had blown out the fire, and he went out into the forest, just like
So Samuel noticed that the fire had been burnt out by the wood, and he's like, "Enough to go into the forest." So he went into the forest looking for some firewood, and he came across the body, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?" But he still proceeded.
So what
So
he
go.
done? So he went out for fire. He went out for firewood. Okay, and as he was as he was picking up the firewood for the fire, he felt a hard rock hit him on the back of the head,
So basically,
knocking him
so
unconscious.
Samuel was about to pick up a firewood. Like, yes, this is the last firewood for the.
Just saying, this is a
Fire.
very long story,
And as
Stephen.
soon as he finished saying that, boom! Got hit in the back of the head with a rock.
Stephen, how long left of your story? It's been quite a while.
Hey, what?
It's only been 8 minutes.
8 minutes for a little story is quite a bit.
Samuel's an intro was about 30 minutes long.
30? No, you're capping.
Alright, so
Yeah, mine was 9.
so what
Well,
happened
part of
next?
it anyway was 9.
So Samuel was we woke up and Samuel came back to the camp, but we had realised that Samuel had something like a bite mark on the side of his neck.
Samuel actually woke up. He survived, thankfully. He came back to the camp, but we noticed on the back of his head he had like a really big like mark, and then we also noticed he had a bite mark. We were like, Samuel, are you okay?
Flopper.
Proceed.
Okay, so what happened next was Samuel was acting a little bit weird for those next 3 days.
Yeah.
That we made him stay outside since as he was all right the whole entire time.
Okay.
But on 5 days before you were gonna leave, he started to dribble whenever he saw someone.
Okay, so yes. Oh my gosh, Noah! Actually, I'm very sorry. Guys, let me just deal with something real quick. And I'm not going to hurt you. Get out!
Wait, is it only me and Stephen that's alive?
You came here just to say you have 2 monies in your piggy bank. Can't believe this.
No, Inchara and Thomas
Okay.
are alive.
So basically,
Yeah, I can't
so
turn up
Samuel, on the past 5 days when we were going to leave, Samuel started like dribbling whenever he saw a human, like it was a cat or something. So yeah,
So
continue.
okay, so on the last day, no, not on the last day. 2 days before the last day, we walked into a room to find Samuel laying next to Tom's dead body.
Oh my god.
So there was a blood-curdling scream around the camp, and then so everybody went to Tom's tent, and yeah, they found Samuel with blood all over his face, and then Tom's dead body.
Is there anyone
And we were just
spectating
freaking
me?
out, like, oh my gosh!
Okay, so what happened next is we chained him up to a tree. So we chained him up to a tree.
So what happened next is we changed Samuel into a tree because we're like, no, you're not a friend. Bro, he literally ate Tom. We don't know.
He's gonna
We
kill you
didn't know
next,
he was
Charlie.
possessed.
Alright, so what happened is so we chained him. The next night it was Charlie's turn to go and
The next
Outside.
night was Charlie's turn, and Charlie
Charlie-
was just terrified. He was just terrified. He was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this.
Hello there.
Okay, continue.
Alright, so what
Continue.
happened was so Charlie had to sit next to the Charlie had to sit next to he
Samuel.
was standing next to Samuel since Samuel
Because
was outside.
you had to make sure that Samuel didn't go out and kill anybody.
Yeah, you did have a gun.
So
Everyone
basically,
had the gun.
so yeah, now his duty was to make sure Samuel wasn't doing anything, cause yeah, and so yeah, he was also armed with a gun, but yeah.
Alright, so
No, I mean not like he was gonna shoot Samuel.
alright, so what was happening?
Steven,
Yeah.
But yeah,
can you harpoon?
Continue.
Alright, so what happened was, so Samuel was like trying to rip open the bars to get to Charlie.
so
he could-
Samuel was trying to rip open the
so he
bars
could-
like to get to Samuel, and then Charlie was like,
Okay, so what Charlie done?
what do I
was
do?
Charlie ran away from the camp.
so Charlie
Because
just
you
ran
heard-
away from camp. He was just running. So yeah, and he was very useless, but he was running like, I need to go away from Samuel.
Alright, so and then because he heard Samuel, the things
from the
the
chain.
chains around him
Yeah.
breaking, and as soon as he got a mile away, he heard the snapping of the
Yeah.
chains.
And then when he looked back, Samuel was coming, and he was like running on the, he was like crawling on the floor viciously, and it was very quick.
My God!
And
Oh my
and then
God.
so, and then
Why am I crazy?
Charlie was like, and
Okay,
and then he had to, and then Charlie was like, no.
alright, so Samuel was right behind him, okay? And then Charlie started to see another campsite that was nearby, and he thought maybe they could save him from this mad person.
But they were all dead. They were all dead.
But when he got there, everyone there was alive, but they all had lots and lots of big blood stains on their clothes.
So basically, Charlie was running like, ooh, and he was like, and he saw a camp nearby, and he just jumped to the camp, and someone was still behind him, and he saw a lot of people like, yes, get me away from this! I've run out of ammo on my gun. But then he saw his blood stains on his shirt, and he saw like the same yellow glowing eyes that Samuel had, and the creature in the forest which killed Tom's friend. And like, oh no.
Right, so
So,
what
yeah,
happened
was
was,
crawling
so
up on the wall, like,
Charlie,
oh, no.
the yellow-eyed man hadn't seen Charlie yet, seems as he had snuck into the thing. The yellow-eyed man was placing bodies in the fire
yeah, so
from the campsite that he just cleaned
remember
out.
the yellow-eyed man that I just said about? But yeah, I just talked about. Yeah, but anyway, so the yellow-eyed man hasn't seen Charlie yet, but I think Charlie actually saw a glimpse of him. But yeah, the yellow-eyed man was actually killing people and putting their bodies in the campfire without us even knowing. Which was, well, I mean, why would he do that? We don't know. Continue.
All right, so Charlie didn't know that it was this man that was killing them, but he thought that he was suspicious putting those bodies into the fire. So what he done was he led Samuel, because Samuel was still chasing him, over to the man. But what happened was, instead of Samuel killing the man killed Samuel.
And so yeah. So the yellow-eyed man, yeah, Charlie figured out what the yellow-eyed man was doing, and so he followed the yellow lights that he saw, and he was running, and then he expected Samuel to go at the yellow man, and Samuel actually did, but he failed. He died. Because
Wait, so Charlie was
the
worried.
yellow-eyed man killed Samuel.
Okay, so in the morning, me and Inchra went to the campsite, and we did find Charlie alive, but he was petrified. He was stuck in a corner of the tent. He was stuck in the corner
So-
of the tent, like
So
he'd
me
been
and Stephen
cornered.
just woke up early, and we heard shivering in the next tent. So we went and we saw Samuel's chains had been broken, and we went to Charlie, but we saw him shivering like in the corner, like, and he explained to us what was going on, and he said that Samuel died in the forest, and we're like.
But
No, it was-
when he
what now?
started talking about the yellow-eyed, the crazy-eyed man, everyone just thought that he was crazy. It seemed as he was petrified.
Yeah, everybody's like, "Are you crazy, mate?" Until it was my turn to go out. Until it was
So-
my turn, I saw it.
So what happened was, Interact was outside, okay? Because I paid for it, I didn't have. This was the last day, and I didn't have the guard since as I paid for the trip. So I was in my tent, and Interact was outside, and you were still petrified in
Where's
that
the
corner.
button?
So yes, I
So-
was
so what happened
outside
was-
guarding like a muscly man, because I am.
So,
And so I was
Intra
guarding,
didn't hear
looking
this.
outside.
Intra didn't hear this, but on Charlie's tent, there was a tapping sound and the sound of a written.
Of a what? And I was guarding, and I heard a ripping sound, and a blood-curdling scream. And so I went into the tent,
Charlie doesn't
and
die.
I
Charlie
heard,
doesn't die.
and I
Charlie
saw
doesn't die.
Charlie.
Charlie doesn't
Not
die.
alive though. Not alive.
So Charlie was
device
screaming, but when Intra got in here, he didn't see anything, and he just saw Charlie ripping. He thought that Charlie was just ripping his own tent apart, since as he just went crazy.
Yeah. But what I saw was that Charlie's heart's been ripped out and he's dead on the floor, and his tent walls has been ripped apart. Sorry.
So
I
what
wanted you
happened?
to die anyway.
He was gonna die, but later. He was going to die, but later. Okay, so what happens is, so Charlie was laying there dead with his heart literally pumped out of his body, and then Intra saw a quick glimpse, and I did too, and there was two shining things
Yeah.
through the window of my
So
tent.
me and
through the window
Stephen
of the tent.
were so shocked at this, and then we saw a glimpse of two yellow dots speeding from where Charlie was at, and like, maybe Charlie was right. And we held a funeral for him because he was, right.
So what we did was, the next day was the last day. We were going home in the afternoon, but we decided.
Wait,
that
is Tom still
because-
alive? Is Tom still alive?
No, he died. Remember Samuel
So me
killed
and
him?
Stephen were the only ones left, and we were going home
Samuel
in the
killed him.
afternoon. We were going home in the afternoon.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
we're not going. All right, so on the way, it was no one else but us two, and when we were in the desert, we decided to put like a little funeral up for Charlie for being right about the yellow-eyed man, and us
So
not
we
believing him, so
we were driving in the forest, and we held a funeral for everybody who died except for Samuel. Because, yeah,
He didn't die. He did, but he was a psycho.
I mean he was a psychopath, so yeah, we didn't.
Right.
So yeah, and I also put a sign up to never, ever go in that forest ever again.
So you guys got out and
Wait, no, we never did. We never did. Wait,
No
I'm
one's
just
gonna die.
so we guys were in. So we were in the car in the desert just after we
No, I
visited.
died.
You were
Just
you
after
died.
we visited Charlie's
I'm talking about the game.
funeral. Just after that, okay, we got back into the car and we realised that the car wouldn't start. And then
So after we did the last funeral, we got back in the car, and
okay.
Stephen was pushing on the pedal. The car didn't start.
Alright, so what happened was Inchara tried to start the car
I tried to start the
and
car.
it couldn't do anything.
I got this car starting for like 2 minutes and then it stopped. And I tried it again, never worked. Which was kind of sad. But
Okay, so we both got out of the car trying to, like, we were trying to get like a car. We were trying to see if
we
anyone
both
would go
got
by.
out the car and we were like, what do we do? What do we do? Oh. Oh. And so yes,
No.
we've already got out of the car.
Okay, so what? All right. So now that we're out,
He doesn't want to kill himself. I know.
all right.
It's already
So,
dead.
No,
it's
I'm not.
Oh, we thought he died
so
while
what-
bodyguarding.
No, that was you.
No,
no, that
I
was,
didn't die while bodyguarding. I
friend.
survived
That
that
was
night.
Tom's friend who
Tom's
died while
friend.
bodyguarding. That was Tom's friend who died while bodyguarding. The first one
Okay.
to
Which
die.
then I saw someone, I get killed, and you guys turn into idiots.
So we were walking along. Someone let us in their car, and as we were
Okay.
going through the desert, they
Yeah, we were walking
saw
along,
another person.
and we found this
They
random
saw
person in the
another
car. I'm
person.
like, yeah, let's trust this guy. So we went
Watch
in.
him kill you.
Okay,
yeah.
so we were driving along, and then the guy that
was
was
driving.
in the car stopped for some reason.
Okay, so the
And we
guy
saw
who was
someone-
driving us stopped. And we're like,
If you guys want to fight
sorry,
with Tom
sir,
and
but
Lucas, go
why
back
did
to
he
hub.
stop? And he was
Okay.
like,
No, so what we done was, no, he's not the murderer, by the way. All right, so they were right there. So we saw someone, like a shadow of someone in the distance.
and he's like, wait, what? And we're like,
Okay,
and the
that
driver,
person-
what are you looking at? And then we
Sam,
saw a
and then-
black silhouette standing like this.
In
And
my
the
second part of
person-
my story, I'll let you in.
Right.
I made up a way.
Right,
Don't
the person-
shoot me, guys! I haven't got my gun yet.
Right, so the person that was there said, what was it? The person that
Sam,
was
do you want
there
a team on them?
said, the person that was driving said, we just stopped for this guy. And he said, hello.
The person that was driving saw the black silhouette and said, we'll stop for this guy. So the driver got out the car
Yeah.
and he started walking to the black silhouette.
Okay.
Right, so once they got out of the car, okay, once they got out of the car, they asked the guy if he wanted to come in, but we still couldn't see his face. And then what
asked
I done was
Because they heard that you would.
So
without
he asked the
thinking of
guy
anything.
if he wanted to come in, and even though he had no face, he's like, "You want to come in?" And he didn't freak out at all. So yeah,
Okay,
And then-
so what happened then was that so
Intro, can you
didn't
kick
think at
one of
all.
them?
I
I'm not even
jumped-
talking, and...
I jumped into the front seat.
Oh, Sam, it's fine, let's just kill
I
him.
stepped on the pedal
Oh
and I
my
drove away.
god!
And as I drove away,
If you
the
guys
guy
are
with the black
team, why can't
figure
we?
grabbed the guy.
What, you
which
guys
was
are
the,
teaming, why can't
the guy
we?
that was
I
asking him
said
to
I'll
get into the
stop
car
teaming if you
and
guys stop!
strangled him.
Fine then.
Okay,
do
so
your
basically-
job.
There.
Okay, Sam,
what
let's stop
happened
teaming.
was that
But you,
what-
Lucas,
what
you
happened
also have to go
was
against
that,
Tom now.
So basically, the guy.
Uh,
So the guy was stepped on the pedal
Lucas,
and was driving, and then the black figure put his long fingers on the guy, pulled him back on all the way to the back seat, and we just watched as his body flew to the back, and then blood just appeared on the.
What
Stop!
year?
We're
Wait, guys.
partying,
Can I
Sam!
quickly ask, what year is
Please.
Stephen's story going to end?
Okay.
Stop! 20
Stop
minutes.
bad partying,
20
Tom!
minutes.
Oh
And you said
my
Okay.
mine-
So what
my story
happened
took like
then?
30.
Okay,
What
wait,
happened-
can I do my story after?
Yeah, last two. All right. So what happened then was, so the man.
Gotta finish up
So
your
we
story quick,
decided to go back and check out what was happening.
We,
And then when we went back-
went back So we looked at the back seat and we saw something horrific.
Sam, I was trying to shoot someone else.
I saw that
You can't third party, guys.
Yeah, we can.
we saw that
Why are you
Samuel,
teaming Tom and
Charlie said that
Lucas?
We're
Samuel
not.
was killed and meant missing.
Then why aren't you killing each
We
other?
saw
on a
Samuel
free
in the back seat.
We saw Samuel in the back seat. Since we didn't know that so we saw Samuel in the back seat. And because we didn't know that Samuel died. And he just disappeared. And yeah, we saw Samuel's dead body in the back seat and we were like,
You should have let me live. I could have told you everything.
And then all of the and then that second,
Can you stop third partying, please,
Samuel
guys?
woke up
Alright,
again.
I'm not playing. You guys are cheating.
jumped into the
Now you
front
know how I
seat
felt when we were
Good
doing
bunch
the
of
Iggle
fun-
Piggle thing as
and
well.
strangled.
So Samuel, he woke up.
Tom, we
in
all
the dead,
agreed
and
that
he jumped
we
to
just
the
stopped
front
talking
seat.
about that.
He jumped to the front
the
seat.
third party
And
is allowed.
what did he do, Stephen?
No, someone
you
kicked
think
Tom if he keeps third partying.
It's allowed.
No, Stephen, don't go in. He's gonna third party.
It's allowed.
So he
though.
grabbed you,
Yeah.
okay, and threw you in the boot. And then what
Okay, so
happened
he
was
grabbed
took-
Don't kill me, don't kill me,
He
don't kill
grabbed
me,
me
don't kill me.
and took me into the boot. And
I
then
need a normal
Then
scar.
he threw me. Then he threw me out of the car.
he threw
and-
you out of the car.
But I was still hanging on to the edge of it.
And so you're hanging onto the boot of the car, like,
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to join
Okay.
my map,
All of my
I'm gonna
skin-
make sections for you to make your story in, and you can like do your story in my
I
words.
was
don't join
do
yet.
it where
all of
we-
my skin was being ripped off.
and
From the
Stephen's skin
run.
was like Stephen was slowly dying. His skin was being ripped off from the ground.
How does the ground rip skin
Then
off?
all of a sudden,
Bro, what happened to me?
then all of a sudden, you're still in the boot. Then all of a sudden, the car plummeted off the edge of the cliff.
Sorry, Stephen, but
Luckily-
can I please ask, when
This
is
is the
this
end. This
story
is the end.
gonna
This is the end. This
Okay.
is the end. Alright, so it plummeted off the cliff when it exploded. But the only survivor of this story,
Oh my god, I'm so bad.
Was you? Wow.
no, the only survivor of this story was Tom's friend, because
What?
Tom's friend was the yellow-eyed man.
So yeah.
I knew it!
We
I said in my
we
head
all
at the
fell.
start of this
Yes, we all
story,
fell.
Tom's friend is the bad
car
guy.
exploded, and we all died. But
Guys,
the
I
only one
said
who
in my
did
head
survive
at the start of the
was
story,
Okay.
Tom's friend is the bad
Tom's
guy.
friend.
I
And
said
he was
that in my
secretly
head.
The yellow-eyed.
Who joined my world?
Okay, so now that I've muted them, I can now do my outro for this story time. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story time, and I guess I'll see you on my horror story time in a sec, and I'll see you on